the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 149 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam, and I'm joking. My name is Sam, and I'm joined today by two friends because we don't do four people podcasts anymore. I'm joined today by John. Hi, John.
Hello.
How are you, mate? Yeah,
I'm all right, thanks.
Nice. We both asked each other and answered each other at the same time there.
Yeah, so I was distracted because my phone, my mum was just ringing me. I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to have to hang up on my mum.
She knows that you do a wrestling podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm also joined today by Adam.
Hi guys, pleasure to be here.
How does it feel being a guest on your own podcast?
Really weird. This is the first time where I've actually seen you do the intro, because I've heard you do the intro on the pods I haven't been on. But, you know, even in the undertakings, I do the intro, don't I? And then I hand over.
It's weird.
So that was weird. And we've got cameras on. And so it was weird enough watching you do that. But, oh my fucking God. Listeners, if there's one time you wish, you're going to absolutely wish you could see the video. And we were going to do video for this episode at one point, but Sam said maybe we shouldn't. And now I know fully why. Oh my God. Sam, explain what's happened.
On Sunday, I enjoyed the sun a little bit too much whilst wearing a cap backwards like a cool dude. And the sun did its work and it burned red marks into my face that kind of correlate with where a hat may or may not have been on my head. And now it looks like I'm wearing Kane's mask.
It looks amazing.
Not a great look.
Looks so good. How did people react to it at work today when you're on those Zoom calls?
My camera has, funnily enough, stopped working. What are the odds?
I was going to say, were you wearing your cap like a cool dude like Fred Durst? But even Fred Durst knows to not wear the caps with the gaps. You know, he wears the proper baseball caps that don't have the little gap there.
Just as a public service announcement for everyone who listens to our lovely podcast, if you go out in the sun, do not wear a hat. Just let the sun burn your head equally all round so you don't look like a silly tart.
The other thing is that it looks as if you were wearing it at a slight angle as well, because it's not dead in the centre. That's that crescent.
Unfortunately, this is more
sunburn.
to do with the fact that the sun is just at a certain angle to where I was standing, and you know, I wasn't staring at the sun head on the whole day.
Well, okay.
Anyway, my face is burned, which
Yeah.
looks ridiculous.
I actually got a bit of a sunburnt face over the weekend, but it's nothing in comparison to Sam's. Nothing.
It's
I wish
rough.
we could, because you're not going to want to share a picture on the social media, and rightly so. But maybe we could do a little drawing.
Maybe we could not. Adam, why are you not hosting?
Well, basically, John and Sam text me and said they didn't think I was doing a good job. They said apparently they've heard from Brett, and the reason that he's not
Adam,
appearing
it was
is
the
because
360 feedback you requested. You just got to take it on the chin, mate.
No, the reason I'm not hosting is because, firstly, I was actually going to miss this podcast because yesterday it was a beautiful sunny day, as I'm sure most listeners will be well aware of, and obviously Sam's forehead is incredibly aware of. And I got invited to a barbecue in the evening, and I also noticed that this pay-per-view was 4 fucking hours long. And I haven't been keeping up to date with Dynamite Weekly. I know that you two have, and I thought I'd leave this to you. Sam said, that's cool, I'll host. And then I realised there were some great matches and I should watch some of it. So I have watched a little bit of it, but we decided that Sam should host this. And you're going to host all AEW pods moving forward, right?
Yeah, I've wrested control from you for all AEW stuff. And now the plucky young upstarts of Hardest Part of the Ring are going to make all the kind of exciting content whilst you wallow in the WWE house.
Yeah. It's weird because you'd think I'd choose the cooler, AEW, but I'm very happy with WWE.
Would they think that you would choose the cooler?
Well, no, but you know, if you had a choice, you'd think that I would choose to go for something cool to appear cool. But no, I'm happy sticking with sad old
This is getting
WWE.
very meta, isn't it? Does that make you more cool or less cool? Oh man, this is a.
I don't think I come out cool at all. But I think the listeners will be wondering what promotion John will be choosing for the pods he's going to host.
Oh, Impact.
Oh, exciting. So that's all interesting. Listeners, please do write in and tell us, just rate us in order of coolness.
Have we sort of... I mean, we haven't even mentioned the fact Brett's not here, or why. Is it because we're so used to the fact now?
Sorry, this is just my poor hosting. Brett's not here because Brett's doing Brett things with Brett.
Busy boy Brett.
It's back next episode though, right?
He is, because next episode...
The big one.
Episode 150. It is a revisit of our top 50 wrestlers. Not the best 50 wrestlers, our favourite wrestlers. Averaged over all of our lists.
It's going to be hard to find 50 that haven't been outed, to be honest.
Well,
have you started?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I have. I've got 50, but I haven't got them in the right order yet.
That's impressive. Did you use like your previous list as a base, or did you kind of just start from fresh?
I just went to WWE.com, looked down the roster, made a note of the ones I liked, did the same at AEW, did the same for New Japan. I didn't even look on Impact. And then I Googled indie wrestlers just to check that I wasn't missing any. But there aren't really many indie wrestlers at the moment. And then at the end, I looked at my list.
Well, that's going to be fascinating when we get round to it. All the fun spreadsheet admin that we absolutely love doing. We want you guys to also get involved. Please send us your top 10 favourite wrestlers. Preferably active. If not, do you know what? Do it anyway. We'll include them.
Do what you like.
Yeah.
But I mean, the chances are they won't make it into the final list if they're not all active. But you know, we've had a few already. We've had some interesting lists through already, some surprises, some wrestlers that you wouldn't expect to get picked. So, send in your top 10s to John.
Oh, hardestpartpod@gmail.com or at hardestpartpod on the socials.
Wait. It's Apron, the hardest part of the ring robot. Long time no see. John actually got that wrong. The email is hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. But you probably knew that by now. Okay, bye.
It's like we're sharing the hosting there, Sam. Sorry, it's just...
No, it's fine. You jump in and do that, because I wouldn't have remembered to ask for any kind of contact details. I would have just said, send something in, do it via carrier pigeon, we'll ignore you. But that's fine, because we're not going to talk about our top 50 anymore. We're going to talk about AEW Double or Nothing after this.
Back suplex on the apron from Kenny Omega. Literally on the edge of the apron.
AEW Double or Nothing 2021, taking place from Daly's Place with a live crowd.
Yeah.
A full-on live crowd of 5,000 plus.
5,000?
Well, there or thereabouts. It was sold out. Comms team of good old JR, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and special guest commentary from Taz, Paul White, who I can't get into calling him Paul White. I'm just going to say the Big Show.
No, I know, it's so weird, isn't it? Paul White doesn't fit him.
And Don Callis. How did we feel about the live crowd?
Oh, it was good. I tell you what, yesterday it was so hard to pull myself inside to watch wrestling. I just want to sit in the sun and drink. It was such a glorious day. And then I watched it. And the first two matches, I was like, this is amazing. Wrestling is back. This feels so good.
And then?
That's very
it sounded like that was going somewhere.
I think it did drop a little in the middle, but picked up towards the end.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I'm on the pod, actually, because I had sort of decided I wasn't going to do it, and I was doing a bit of work yesterday early in the day, and I just put it on in the background. So the first match that was on, Brian Cage versus Adam Page, I had on in the background, so I didn't really watch it properly, so I can't really talk about it. But all I was hearing was the crowd, and it felt as if there were a lot of big near falls in that match, because the crowd were just going crazy, and I was just like, I can't not watch the first pay-per-view back. We've waited so long. I can't not watch a pay-per-view with a crowd back.
I think this is the thing for me, is that kind of AEW is very much the people's wrestling. It's wrestling for the fans of wrestling. And this just felt like one of the biggest celebrations of wrestling that I've seen, I want to say in years, just because it's been almost a year since we've, in fact, it's been over a year since we've had crowds properly. And don't get me wrong, like, WWE did an amazing job with WrestleMania as well. But I don't know, there's something about the fan base of AEW which just makes me personally feel much more invested and hyped up whenever it gets going.
I've got to be honest, I think I'm actually a bit more excited about seeing a full WWE crowd. I think the actual personnel in the crowd at AEW is probably better, but there's something about Daly's place as a layout. Like when you've got that hard cam and there's such a massive section without a crowd, and it's not massive anyway. I can't wait to see a big stadium where you're watching a match and you've just got that wall of crowd behind, and you can see the Jesus guy, you can see the smiley face T-shirt guy, and all the favourites are back. And,
I much prefer the layout of Daly's place. I like how weird it is with like the ramp and just like the kind of.
It is interesting.
It's different.
Yeah.
John? I think the first time Full Sail's full again would be good. I used to love that NXT crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, Adam, do you want to read us the card?
Oh my god, first time. Here we go. I always take the piss when you fuck up as well.
Yeah.
So
deep breath. Take it slow.
We had a pre-show of Serena Deeb versus Riho for the NWA Women's Championship. Brett, do you watch that? Did either of you watch that?
Apparently the match was an absolute banger. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to watch it later.
I really like Serena Deeb. I think she was on...
She was on the
Mae Young
Classic, yeah.
Yeah, but she's been on AEW a few times and she's been brilliant.
Yeah, she's a really good wrestler. It's kind of weird that people describe her as a veteran as if like she's an old lady when it's like, nah, she's just a really good wrestler.
The main card, we had Brian Cage versus Hangman Adam Page, then the Young Bucks versus... Sorry, for fuck's sake. Basically, Sam has written this out. I haven't pre-read it, so I'm not fully prepared. I know the wrestlers involved, but, it's the way he's worded it. I should have prepared better. But it was Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley for the AEW tag titles. We then had a Casino Battle Royale.
Who was in that Casino Battle Royale?
Is that right, or is it Cody versus...
No, it was the Casino Battle
Royale.
Royale
Isn't
next.
It? Okay, yeah, cool. You want to know who's in it? You haven't written that down on the running order, Sam.
You're right.
Can you tell people?
Nope. Let's just continue on.
We then had a match between Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo. Then it was the TNT Championship match between Miro and Lance Archer. Then we had the AEW Women's World Title match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Hikaru Shida. Followed up by a tag team match between Darby Allin and Sting versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Skye. Then it was time for the AEW World Title triple threat between Pac, Orange Cassidy and Kenny Omega. And we finished off with the return of the Stadium Stampede. Stadium Stampede 2, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle.
Ooh.
I'm devastated that I feel like you did that better than I do it on a week in, week out basis. You turned up and you've showed me up.
No one's surprised.
It's rough. Key matches. We're going to be looking at Pac versus Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega, the triple threat for the AEW World Title. And then we're going to discuss the Stadium Stampede. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with the triple threat match. And we're going to go with John to kick off on that.
Hello. It's me, it's John. How you guys
John.
doing? So, triple threat match. First off, I love Kenny Omega coming out with all these belts. It looks so good. I don't know how they've managed to pull this off, but it just makes him look $1,000,000. You feel like AEW is part of something much bigger, like the whole world of wrestling, and Kenny Omega is dominating the entire world of wrestling at the moment. I love it.
It is something that you see a lot in things like boxing, and you see the guys with all of the different belts, and you're like, that looks fucking amazing. But obviously you don't get to see that in wrestling, so it's so cool. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting match because what Kenny Omega is doing at the moment is kind of... It's difficult because it's never going to have the same appeal as his kind of New Japan run. Like, maybe not his title run, but his run up to the title is legendary. And then what he's doing here with this heel run is just kind of the biggest piece of shit on the planet, which is so good and so bad at the same time, because it's like you don't want to see like your huge match almost end the way it did. I mean, jumping ahead quite a lot here. We'll go back to the start, actually.
Stop yourself from just going straight to the ending.
I can't help myself. Triple threat match. And so obviously kind of just going into this, Pac, Omega, Orange Cassidy, the story very much being Orange Cassidy kind of has no right being here.
Or can he prove that he deserves to be here?
Yeah.
And I think he very much did.
Hugely so. I mean, it's a testament to both Orange Cassidy and Pac, in fact, just because, like, Pac came into this match without much fanfare at all. And he just put on such a performance, like such a main event performance for someone who, I mean, I would go as far as says Pac, I think consistently is probably one of the top 3 performers in AEW day in, day out.
He's so good and so stiff. My God.
Yeah.
He pulled out his full repertoire in this match as well. He did absolutely everything. In fact, there are a few moves that he did that I haven't seen him necessarily do. Mostly probably because I haven't been watching enough AEW, but they reminded me of that match against Cara Noir at Riptide, especially the bit where he got the drop kick and then he propelled himself into the turnbuckle, which is all him. That's nothing to do with the drop kick. That's him and his incredible strength that he's got in his legs to propel himself back. But he was amazing in this match.
Yeah, what's interesting about it is he was never really portrayed in this match as someone who could get the fall. Like, it was between Omega and Cassidy. Like, Cassidy got some incredible near falls in this, but Pac was just playing this supporting role. But in that supporting role, he looked so strong. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off him. He was great in this match.
An incredible performance from him. To be honest, like, both Orange Cassidy and Pac hugely showed the world how main event they really are. Like, kind of Kenny Omega, you've come to expect him to be the best in the world, and I would say he's probably the 3rd best performer in this match.
Yeah, he was very much bystander for a lot of it, I think.
Yeah, well, one thing I found really cool was just the fact that basically whoever's turn it was in the limelight during the match, the other 2 were working really hard to make sure they were putting over whatever that
massively
third person was doing. And particularly I thought because as I said, like, Orange Cassidy kind of had no right to be there, and by the end he very much had the right to be there and is like a legit main eventer to an extent now. And I think so much of that is because Pac and Kenny Omega were more than happy to bump and to sell all the crazy stuff that he was doing.
Yeah.
It was just so cool.
Absolutely adored Orange Cassidy's performance in this match. Like, from the very beginning when he tried to pin both Omega and Pac and got the 2 count, the very obvious 2 count, and then he starts remonstrating with the ref.
Oh, the 1 count. It was a 1 count for each, wasn't it?
So funny. And it just goes to speak to kind of how invested Orange Cassidy is with this character, and sort of how just the turn of speed he's got from guy with hands in his pockets rolling around on the floor to bombing around with a no-hands Hurricane Rana out of nowhere.
Yeah.
An incredible wrestler.
I can't believe they've got the longevity out of this gimmick that they have. Like, I remember when he first came to AEW, like, it was great, and I was like, this is really cool and I love it, but I just can't see how it's sustainable. But they've managed just to sustain it, really, and he is so over with the crowd.
Do you know what I think it is that makes it work? Is that kind of, I think if you were to give this to WWE, and you see this actually with what WWE have done with Riddle, is that kind of, they make the characters there so one-dimensional that it just becomes like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. Whereas Orange Cassidy, yes, he is clinically lazy. That's his gimmick. But at the same time, he doesn't just act lazy in every single circumstance. What he does is he takes the lazy route to things, whilst at the same time still kind of going for the number 1 title. It's just great.
He plays a really good underdog babyface somehow by being lazy.
Absolutely.
You'd think the shtick with the hands in the pockets as well would grow quite tired, because, you know, we were seeing a lot of that sort of formulaic match where, you know, you just think surely all of his opponents are going to know what's coming and we'll deal with that. But it just was, it was genius in this match, the way that they did that, because it looked as if they weren't going to lean into that. And it was much later in the match they eventually went for the pockets, but was being held back, and then he had to use all his strength to get his hands in the pockets, which led to the avalanche release German suplex, which was fucking great.
So good.
It was great. And I think with Orange Cassidy, he's someone like Session Moth Martina, where I was like, oh, I'm loving this, but give it 6 months and this will be dead. They can't sustain this. But the person behind it and the personality that they put into it just means that it's always sort of feels fresh, and it's just great to watch.
I legitimately could see Orange Cassidy being AEW champion one day.
Yeah, it feels like he could legitimately be the person that, I think Kenny's probably going to have the belts for a while, but he could be the one, because the crowd are so into him. He's such a great babyface.
This match, went into it and I was like, I'm really up for this, but this is a classic example of a match where Kenny's running away with that belt. But there were a couple of moments really close, job. Especially Pac going for it and then Orange Cassidy getting in and stealing the spots.
There were 2 or 3 moments here where they made me believe that the title was going. And, when Orange Cassidy, basically, when Pac lands the Avalanche Falcon Arrow and OC chucks him out of the ring to go for the cheeky pin, and it's just perfect. And then, of course, like the Orange Punch where kind of Don Callis had to get involved.
Yeah.
Again, like it had that moment where it was like, oh, the match is about to end. And then my absolute favourite moment of the match was Pac locking in the Brutalizer on Orange Cassidy and Kenny not being able to break it, having to take out the ref instead. It's such good
with the double axe handle, the most powerful move in wrestling.
Strong enough for a referee.
It is great heel work, because you are like, hold on a fucking second, you can't do that, you bastard.
This is exactly what makes it so good. Like, kind of what made Kenny Omega shine in this match wasn't, the fantastic athletic wrestling or kind of the stiff strikes. It was the cowardly heel work and just how cocky and arrogant he is with all of it. Such perfect bastard. I hate him.
Yeah, I saw
hate
quite
him
a lot.
I love him.
A lot of comments online not being in love with the finish of this match, just because it was a screwy finish after quite a long match of a main co-main event of pay-per-view. But I think it works well. I didn't mind it at all.
Especially using all the belts. That was a cool ending.
That really cool. Could you imagine trying to get sign-off for each company to do that as well? It must have been a nightmare.
I thought it sort of saved it in the sense that I wasn't that happy about the screwy finish in the sense when he hit the ref. But then with all the belt stuff, I was like, okay, that was actually really cool and well worth it. But yeah, you remember WWE going through all that shit with that guy who we don't like to talk about anymore, but when David Starr stood on the UK Championship, when Volta had it in, was it OTT or something, and there was a whole drama about the fact that he disrespected that belt and stood on it, and WWE just, too precious. They would never let this kind of stuff happen.
Not a chance in hell. I think this is kind of speaks to what Kenny Omega is doing at the moment, which is kind of, I get the impression that his character currently is, he used to be the best in the world, and now he's not the best in the world, and he's clinging to these titles to try and make himself seem like it is, but ultimately he's just a coward. I think that's the story they're going for here.
Yeah,
oh, maybe.
I way prefer Best Bout Machine, legit best in the world Kenny, but this is fun.
I think this is really good.
Don Callis is doing a great job with it as well. Those two are so good together. Like the segments they do on Dynamite are awesome. So I nearly said awful there. I was like, why am I saying awful?
Awful. Maybe awful's really cool
good.
now.
Really, really good.
I mean, JR said this match is sick at one point during the night. So if JR is now starting to say sick, we need to bring in a new, maybe saying something awful could be cool now.
JR also said that Wales will be proud of Pac. So
Excalibur did correct him, which I don't think JR appreciated very much.
No. And so, yes, that was Triple Threat. Just, really, really good match.
My match of the night, I'd say.
Yeah? I think
me too.
Good shout.
I only watched 4 matches, but yeah.
Well, we're going to move on to one of the 4 matches you watched, I hope. Because we're now going to talk about the Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle.
Okay.
And, what did you think?
I thought this was a huge letdown.
Ooh.
Okay.
Just in general, compared to the last Stadium Stampede?
But both, I think. I think if the last year's Stadium Stampede hadn't happened, I would have thought some of this was fun, like the access to the Jaguars' offices and training rooms and stuff like that was pretty cool. I would have enjoyed that. But in reality, it was really slow. And this is on towards the end of a 4-hour pay-per-view. It was really slow, and it was just filled with these like one-on-one sections, like one-on-one here, one-on-one here, one-on-one here. And then there was just lots of it. I was like, that looks a bit crap and a bit cheap and a bit rubbish, particularly like when they went into the club.
I did not like the club bit.
That weird gay club they were in.
Chucking a load of sugar glass at each other.
Although, actually, I quite like the bit where Dash was throwing bottles at Ortiz. I thought that bit was cool. But the rest of the club bit was a bit rubbish.
But I just thought it was so slow. And then, so that's like in isolation. But then when you think about, even a year later, we've got terrible memories, but you remember Hangman on a fucking horse. You remember the hilarious stuff with Matt Hardy changing outfits in the hot tub. You remember the stuff with Hangman at the bar and Kenny Omega getting slid along the bar.
Yep.
And there was just all sorts of great stuff. Now, I don't know, maybe because that was in the middle of a pandemic, and maybe the Jaguars are having matches now. Maybe they're not allowed to do stuff on the pitch or something. Because
they started on the pitch. There's a wrestling ring on the pitch, wasn't there? Weirdly,
yeah,
which they used
just
for
felt
2
weird.
seconds and then never used again.
Yeah, and I just thought there was not much to enjoy about it, really.
I've kind of agree with you on a lot of this. I think kind of the match itself was quite disjointed, and like I understand by design the match is meant to be disjointed. It's almost like you're watching 5 different matches at the same time. I think the problem was that kind of in the previous Stadium Stampede, it felt like all of that contributed to one larger story, which was kind of building towards a climax. Whereas this one here felt very lost at sea. Like again, going back to Santana and Ortiz versus FTR, there was no conclusion to that. Like they just end up in an elevator, and then that was it.
Yeah.
It was just like you could cut that whole segment out.
It's true.
And you would have the same match. It's very strange.
Do you like it, John?
I did enjoy it. I really liked the Jericho and MJF stuff, especially when MJF hit Jericho with the phone and said, sorry, you can't answer the phone right now. He's teeth down his throat. I thought they were good. And I don't like Sean Spears very much, but I thought him and Sammy worked really, really well together. I thought they had really good chemistry, and their bits were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sammy was very good.
Yeah. But yeah, the Wardlow and Hager bits didn't do anything for me. And yeah, the club bit was such a waste of talent, I think, that bit.
I think that's the biggest transgression of this match, is the fact that kind of we know full well that FTR are one of the best tag teams in the world. And we also know...
Were they in this match?
Oh, exactly. And we also know that Santana and Ortiz, like, not only are they incredible wrestlers, but they've put on some of the best tag team wrestling in kind of the pandemic era. And so to kind of relegate their roles down to as little as it was in the match was a little bit of a disappointment. Like kind of, again, like I think back to last year's Stadium Stampede of Santana or Ortiz in the pool saying they can't swim. And it's hilarious. Just so good. And it's just in comparison, this was just a little bit a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, last year, obviously, we had Kenny Omega. We had the Young Bucks. We had Matt Jackson flipping off the fucking goal posts or whatever it was. And then we had him doing the backflips all the way up the pitch. Like, there's so many great memories from that. And I know it's always going to suffer having to be compared to that and coming after that. But then you could it was just really not very good. You could definitely do so much better.
I think the original first Stadium Stampede was much more of a comedy match, whereas this was much more of a fight.
Yeah.
I don't think this was trying to be as funny as that match was.
There was a lot of good stuff as well to write home about. Like, I also enjoyed the Jericho MJF segments, especially with the megaphone. And is it Shad Khan? Tony Khan's dad?
Yes.
The cutout of that, of them both basically hurting their hands on the cardboard cutout.
Yeah. Those two are so good together, MJF and Jericho. I know they've worked a lot together, but they are so good together. I felt a little bit weirded out by the fake pigs in the freezer. I'm assuming they're fake.
Were they fake? They were.
I hope they were fake.
Weirdly bloody.
They were.
Like,
they just cut in half.
That was a weird thing. But again, even that, it's like, oh, this is cool. They're in the freezer. But then it was just a couple of like, I'll chuck you into these boxes. You chuck me into these boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, get one of them to lick the wall or something. Get this tongue stuck. They were doing amazing. I just think, because I was thinking, what are my highlights? And I made a load of notes, and I've only highlighted a couple of things, whereas I've just reeled off like 6, 7, 8 things from last year.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sure there's loads more. And it's just, maybe call it something else or do something different with it. I don't know. It just, it was a real sort of wet flannel of a match in comparison, especially to end such a huge pay-per-view.
So, I mean, like the thing is, I'm with John on the fact that I actually enjoyed the, I was about to say Ty Dillinger, the Sean Spears, Sammy Guevara segments.
Really good, yeah.
This was the first time where I've seen Sean Spears in AEW, and I've been like, okay, cool. I'm starting to get this chairman gimmick now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He was brilliant in this, actually. And yeah, he's someone that's sort of passed me by in his AEW times. Like when he came in, it was like, okay, because I never liked Ty Dillinger back in the day, so I wasn't that hot on him coming out to AEW. But I thought he was really good in this match.
And then, yeah, I mean, obviously we've got to speak about, if we go towards the end, so we have the 2 segments that kind of bring us back to Daly's place in the live arena, and oh god, I felt vertigo when I saw Jericho pick up MJF near the top of the ramp, not the top of the ramp, the top of the stairs. You can kind of see over the balcony, and you're just a little bit like, oh, that's a long fall.
And then he got dropped on his balls on the bar. That looked harsh.
That did.
Yeah.
Did you see Aubrey's reaction to that? The ref, like it was really. She sold that really well. Even she looked shocked by that bump.
It was, like I think when they brought it back to the arena, I actually think they rescued the match quite well. I think it was a nice finish to everything, having MJF and Jericho fight up top, but then actually giving the limelight to Sammy was such an inspired choice of the match, just because, you know, he's had a long year and he had a lot of stuff go up and a lot of stuff go down with this. Like, you know, he took the loss in the Stadium Stampede. He had his own self-inflicted stupidity with the speaking out stuff, which he's kind of had to, you know...
He got suspended for that, didn't he, I think? For a bit.
Yeah, rightfully so as well. Like,
yep.
And that's an example of one where he's sort of like, it kind of feels like he's had the appropriate response to that.
Yeah.
He was full of contrition, and he's just come back, and
exactly.
You can forget about that now. Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
And then, to top it all off, he had the whole thing with Matt Hardy too. It's like he's had a crazy old year, Sammy.
Yeah.
And so to finish it off with like almost redemption with this whole running someone over in a golf cart and kind of owning that.
Yeah.
And getting the win in the stadium. It was a really nice finish to the match.
That
just weird
450 senton he does looks so badass.
Oh, it really does. I'm a big fan of Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, me too. He's great.
It's just weird having them all, the inner circle in the crowd at the end, singing and getting the crowd.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
To see them as faces, though.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's strange, isn't it? Jake Hager singing along with the crowd. He should not be getting cheers. But
I think it speaks to the inner circle, doesn't it? The fact that they've gone through the ringer, they've done the heel stuff, they've done the face stuff. It speaks to Chris Jericho as to kind of how versatile a wrestler he is. And that was it.
Yeah. Stadium Stampede. Do you think they'll do it again next year?
I think so. I reckon that's probably going to become a yearly thing for them.
This is going to be their Survivor Series where they're forced to try and put these massive teams together every year. And they're like, how are we going to work this into storyline? Oh, don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
They've got enough of them.
They do. They've got enough wrestlers. But I just worry because everyone will always be like, it's not as good as the first, man. Chasing that dragon is just not... They're never going to reach that high again.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking for fear factor, that package pile driver on the apron. Penta, oh no! Factor, he nailed it, and Omega's down, and he might be out.
And so we move on to Best of the Rest. And it's difficult, this one, actually.
Well, can I go? Because I only watched one other match. So, I mean, as I said, I had the Brian Cage and Hangman Page match on, but I didn't properly watch it, so I can't fully comment on that. Although it sounded like a banger, and I've read reviews and people enjoyed it, and you guys may talk about it. But I think we should talk about the Tag Team Championship match.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because I've now got real good reason to hate the Young Bucks again.
They're so good as heels, aren't they?
Oh my God.
Like the nose piercing, I think.
The hair dye.
Yeah.
The outfits, I love the tights that have tights in inverted commas and then on the pocket
Yeah.
in inverted commas, all that stuff. I love Matt Jackson in the ring. My only problem, and I can forgive the crowd because they're all absolutely hyped to be at a live event, was how sort of into the Matt Jackson stuff they were at the start when Matt was like, come on, like trying to get them to cheer. And the whole point is that the crowd should then boo him. And at the start, they were really, really into it and were cheering and were counting when he was doing the punches and stuff like that. But yeah, it's amazing. When you think about how long they were just the perfect baby faces and the indie darlings, it must be so fun for them to be putting this run together. And yeah, it was really, really cool to watch. And what a perfect sort of scrappy pair of heels to go up against.
I mean, I also loved like Mox's and Kingston's entrance when they're going into the crowd. Like they seemed so hyped for it. It was really cool.
I'm so happy for Eddie Kingston because this is his first AEW wrestling in front of a proper crowd. Like, he kind of started up in the pandemic era, and to hear like the crowd organically chanting for him, it's so great. You could see how happy he was.
It's mad when you think, like a few years ago when I'd see him on Progress and things like that, I never would have called that he'd be in a tag team match for a championship against the Young Bucks with John Moxley. It's a crazy journey.
So, maybe a controversial opinion, I think the wrong team won.
Oh, I think long-term story-wise, you've got to keep the belts on the Young Bucks for now, haven't you? I think this would be a program of work, right? This would be at least 3 matches, this feud.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think this was quite a decisive kind of clean win for the Bucks. I think they could move on and Moxley and Kingston go on to do other bits and pieces now.
I know, but they're so good together, Mox and Kingston. Like the segments they've been doing have been really good. They've obviously got such good chemistry together because they've known each other for so long.
I suppose the problem is that the roster size in AEW means that you can't not have something with Mox and Kingston. Like, you've got to have them doing something.
It's not right for Mox to be in the title picture at the moment because they've spent such a long time there. And they need to keep the heat on him somehow. So I feel like a feud with the Young Bucks would be a good way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed this match. It was really good. It made me dislike the Young Bucks in the way that I suppose heel wrestling wants to be disliked. They're just so damn good at being bad guys.
And there was a great Moxley kick out at 1 on this match as well.
Yes.
The crowd went wild for it.
I do have a bit of a problem with, I don't know. Okay, this is something, this might be a really stupid question, but why is it okay for a tag team partner to run in and break up a pin? Like in all of wrestling,
Young
that happens
Bucks
quite
were
regularly.
taking the piss in this match.
But that's just generally, yeah. But then Young Bucks, in the final third, both of them were in the ring for pretty much the whole time, it felt like. And the ref, what you need is at least the ref to be like, come on, get out, come on, or to threaten. He's just letting it all happen. And I know it's just, you can't be like, come on, stick to the rules. But I have a thing about that whole breaking the pin, because that seems to be just like, no, you can't do that. But JR wasn't happy.
No, JR was not happy. No.
He was not happy. He was pushing it maybe a bit too far. You kind of need to decide which way you're going to go, because you kind of, are you burying the referee or just keep quiet, JR? I imagine they were probably thinking. But yeah, that was the only problem I had with it, is like they pushed it a bit far in that sense. But they're the heels.
Yeah, I think kind of towards the last third of the match or so, it kind of just lost a bit of control overall. I think kind of took the sparkle off it a little bit.
Yeah. It was great though.
Good match.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really,
Also
really
good match. How did we feel about the finish? 4 BTE triggers.
Nasty.
I was surprised Mox took the pin as well.
I think that was a good choice though.
Yeah, me too.
Another thing I loved, when Mox got the blood and then he'd wipe most of it away apart from across his eyes, so he looked like Raphael.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Amazing. John, do you have any best of the rest?
Yes. I really, really enjoyed Ethan Page, Scorpio Skye versus Darby Allin and Sting, just because I thought Sting was bloody brilliant in this match.
I caught the end of this match. As I was fast forwarding, I was like, "Oh, actually, I'd like to see a bit of Sting, what he's up to." And the bits I saw were pretty good, especially the ending.
Like, obviously, this is a bit like with Eddie Kingston. This is the first Sting match in front of a live AEW crowd, and they were popping hard, especially right at the beginning where Scorpio Sky did a suplex on Sting on the ramp, and Sting just popped straight up, no sold it. Oh, it was such a great moment.
There were moments of this match that I enjoyed, but mostly I was a little bit... This match fell within the malaise of Double or Nothing, where it was just... The whole show was a bit too long, and this was very much part of the problem with that.
I agree this show was too long, and the middle section sagged a bit, but I just really like this match. Like the bit where Ethan Page launched Darby Allin into his brothers in the front row.
Was insane.
Like, properly launched him out of the ring into the first row.
Did you see this, Adam?
No, I didn't.
Ethan Page military presses Darby Allin above his head, walks up to the edge of the ring, and it's like, okay, you're going to chuck him over the top rope, fine. He launches him over the barrier.
How is that possible? I mean, he's a light boy. I reckon all three of us could pick him up fairly easily. Not together. I mean, separately.
I looked this up. Darby Allin weighs 12 stone, 170 pounds.
What? No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, it makes me
How
think...
tall is he?
Ethan Page must be huge.
I need to get these height stats.
Bonkers.
Bit of Googling. You guys crack on.
There was lots of good moments in this match. I enjoyed seeing Sting jump off the...
8'3". He is 5'8", and he weighs 77 kilograms. I'm just going to double... I need to verify what Sam says. I Google a lot of what Sam says. 12.1 stone. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Sam. Carry on.
That's okay. I like it when you undermine me on the pod. Yeah, no, I enjoyed seeing Sting jump off the poker chips, I want to say.
Yeah.
Again, it's a 60-year-old man jumping off something.
I just think for someone, his age, who hasn't been wrestling for... I think this is his first in-ring match for 6 years, I think she announced has said. I just think we're so used to seeing these old wrestlers in WWE just doing really cringy matches where you're watching in between your fingers. And Sting, they're just booking Sting really well. They're booking to his strengths, He can't do like loads of cardio probably, but he can still do these good moves, and he knows how to work a wrestling match.
That's the thing. So he's a very technical wrestler, and it really speaks to his ability. Yeah,
because I've watched a handful of Sting matches in the past, and certainly none of his like TNA Impact stuff, like only a few WCW ones. So I'm not heavily invested in Sting, but it's just been great to see someone with his legendary status still do a decent job.
I'm not sure about the relationship between Darby Allin and Sting. It's a bit strange.
Oh, I like it.
It's supposed to be, no?
It's a bit, I don't know. It's
a bit grooming. Do you reckon?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting from it. I think Darby's too young, Sting's too old, and I get an inappropriate vibe from the whole situation.
They're not shagging.
Well, how do you know?
Yeah, who knows? Let's not put labels on it, guys. I love all the vignettes they're doing, like the video stuff. Okay. It just makes them look like badasses. I'm loving it.
Ship Sting and Darby.
I wonder if they'd... I'd be up for like a fallout and a feud between Darby and Sting.
I mean, you'd have to have Darby turn heel, wouldn't you?
I don't like the idea of Darby doing a coffin drop onto a lying down Sting, and he just crushes into his ribs that just concave, and he just ends up lying there in a heap of old crusty dusty bones. Struggled to get my words out there.
Everyone's got to have a last match at one point.
And so we move on to my best of the rest. We'll keep it brief. I enjoyed the Casino Battle Royale.
Interesting.
Now, not the best. And
my rebuttal to this, Sam, can you name one standout moment from this Battle Royale?
Yeah.
He checks notes. Sam just looked down.
I really enjoyed the Christian and Matt Hardy face-off towards the end, followed up by the betrayal. It was just a fun moment. I'm happy that...
I heard Leo Rush made a debut. How was that?
He was the Joker. He looked really good.
It was a little bit underwhelming.
What's he called? Is he Leo Rush?
Yeah, it's still Leo Rush. Leo Rush is officially signed with New Japan, so it's a bit of a weird situation. But yeah, the match itself was nice. The problem is that, let's be honest, Jungle Boy ain't winning the title anytime soon.
No, but I do like the fact he won it and not Christian.
I think that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I'm still not on board with Christian.
I watched that last few minutes because I thought, it'll be interesting to see who wins. And when I saw it was those two, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't even angry. It's just like, oh yeah, it makes sense for Christian now. They've signed him. It was quite a big deal. Give him a title shot. He's not going to win it, but that makes sense. And it was a nice surprise when Jungle Boy got the nod.
I think there's a handful of good moments in this. Like, I am actually really liking what Matt Hardy's doing at the moment with Private Party. I think Jungle Boy going over instead of Christian is a good win for him, and it was a great moment as well, having him celebrate with Jurassic Express. I don't know how I feel about Max Caster from the Acclaimed. I don't think I like diss tracks.
The trouble is, whenever he does his rap bit, all I think is John Cena doing when he did his rap stuff. Like, it's the same cadence every time. Like, and the lines he's delivering are quite funny and quite quippy, but it's just the same cadence. Like, really quite slow, monotonous rapping. It's just.
I just don't think I get diss tracks. Can you explain them to me, Adam?
No, but I can drop me a sick beat and I'll do a diss track on you now.
Boom.
No,
Boom.
no, I'm not really going to do this. I'm not going to freestyle.
Adam Richardson.
I don't want to freestyle and then some record executive approach me and then have to leave the pod and you have to host every episode or something. That would be awkward. So no, we'll save that. We'll save that for our final episode. Okay. And I can go on to having an illustrious career
to be fair,
a 38-year-old white man. You
do look a bit like Vanilla Ice moved to the suburbs.
I've got a cap on backwards right now, listener. So that is why.
Do not go out into the sun.
Sam also has a cap on backwards. Oh no, he hasn't. He's just got sunburn.
We're going to move on to worst of the rest. Let's talk about Mark Henry.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I saw he came out and then I skipped all the talky bits.
Why is this worst of the rest? I saw that you'd put that as your on the running order, but I think that's a pretty cool signing. I've got a question for you, as the two people who are keeping up to date with AEW. How do you feel about another weekly show in AEW Rampage?
I will not be watching that.
I don't see
Friday nights.
Yeah, I don't have the time.
I'll be interested to see how it plays into the whole canon of AEW, because like AEW Dark doesn't feel like it feels quite a separate thing. I don't know what goes on there. It feels like a good little proving ground for younger wrestlers.
That's exactly what Dark is.
Yeah. Just keep people match fit and give some of the younger people or the people low down the card a chance to build up some wins. But yeah, it will be interesting. Will it be two different rosters? Will it be how the rosters were in WWE when we started the pod before they did the brand split and everybody's just all over the shop? Will be interesting. And also interesting to see how long it is. They've got to, hopefully it will just be another 2-hour show. They're not going to give us a raw 3 hours, are they?
Just another 2-hour show. You could easily fill an entire week with just watching wrestling at the moment.
Yeah. I'd like it to be an hour show. Yeah. Everything went to shit really when NXT became 2 hours and
yeah.
I've barely watched NXT since I did that, actually.
Let's go on.
Same. It's just too much to keep up with. No, we're not going to move on, host. I'm going to derail it, and then you know how it feels.
No, let's go on to the real worst.
Let's talk about NXT for 20 minutes.
Let's go on to the real worst of the rest. A 4-hour pay-per-view. Come on.
I have to agree with that, because this had some amazing matches I was really hyped to see. But then, and they don't know what the weather's going to be like in the UK. But to drop 4 hours when we're getting beautiful weather and we can all see friends and family again safely outdoors, and you can go indoors, but that's how I chose to do it. Don't know why I'm giving that away. It doesn't really matter what I did or who I did it with or where I was.
Who did you do it with?
Sting and Darby Allin. The point is, 4 hours is fucking. We've given WWE so much grief for this over the years, for anything over 3 hours. It's just too much. And then to finish it off with a Stadium Stampede where it's just loads of stuff that could have potentially been cut is, I don't know. Not happy. But then I'm a cop-out because then I only went and watched 3 or 4 matches. So who am I to say that I'm unhappy? You two actually watched
Unbelievable
all of it.
Cheek. 4 hours was way too long. I definitely...
What would you get rid of?
Glad you asked.
Cool. Sam checks notes once more.
Cody Rhodes, Anthony Ogogo.
Oh,
gone.
I heard about this. Is Cody a bit he keeps booking himself winning these matches? Do you think he needs to give more people the rub?
Well, the matches he's booking himself to win are these weird exhibition matches against semi-celebrities, which is...
Are we over Cody at the moment?
At the moment, yes.
They're not really doing anything with him. He just does these celebrity matches, like the Shaq stuff. The Go-Go stuff.
Miro versus Lance Archer. Gone.
That was quite a short match as well.
It was. Miro grabbed a bag with either a snake or Darby Allin in it and chucked it halfway across the arena.
Or the biggest floppy dildo you've ever seen.
God.
I think it's kind of
Some
cheeky
pretty big ones.
giving Jake the Snake a snake in a bag just because we know what he does with them anyway.
Yep.
Sting and Darby versus Scorpio and Ethan. Gone.
Disagree.
Gone.
That makes the
I
cut.
disagree with that. I didn't even watch it all, but
Okay.
I
I
enjoyed
enjoyed
that
what I
match.
saw. Yeah, and that's a big deal. Sting's first match back. You know.
Possibly get rid of the Casino Battle Royale, put it on the pre-show.
Absolutely. I mean, it was fine, but that's all it was. It was a pre-show Andre the Giant Battle Royale.
I would say that finishing with the Stadium Stampede, I think that made sense because I think kind of after this is the first kind of
really
proper
excited
one.
about it.
This is the first proper pay-per-view back, and I think finishing with Omega, kind of the way that match ended, would have been a real kind of down moment. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. I before we started this pod, I thought it was weird they ended the Stadium Stampede because it was the first time they had crowds back in. To have a match which mainly didn't involve the crowd, I thought was a bit strange.
That's what I thought was weird as well. But as I said, they pulled it together with the finish. John, what was your worst of the rest?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy Cody versus Anthony Ogogo, although I thought Anthony Ogogo did a pretty good job considering he's pretty new. Yeah, Archer Miro was okay. This wasn't my worst of the West, and I just want to mention it because Shida versus Britt Baker, it was a bit of a messy match in places, but it was all right. But I'm really glad Britt Baker's got the championship because I feel like we've given a lot of shit to AEW's women's roster, and rightly so the way it's been booked because it's been booked terribly and not really given much time. But I think Britt Baker's been like a standout performer in that division. Like all the big moments, the big matches she's featured in, normally losing admittedly, but I just think she's had an incredible year and put some great matches.
It feels like Britt Baker has sort of been groomed for this position for a while.
Yeah.
And it was about time they pulled the trigger on it. And it's a bit of a weird one because she's a heel character, but people love her so much that it's kind of hard to take her seriously as a heel.
I think it's because she's really like worked hard for it. Like some of the matches she's done, and she's bled a lot for AEW.
Yes, in terms of pints. In terms of pints spilt, I want to say.
I think Dustin Rhodes still has that record from that one match.
Dustin and Cody are up there. Moxley's next, and then Britt's probably next on the list.
Yeah, I think Moxley cuts himself just walking these days.
He does.
Must be quite strange for his little baby daughter. Yes.
Do you have a worst of the rest?
No, because you basically told me the matches I should watch, and I picked the matches I wanted to watch. So I'm sure from some of the matches you've listed, there would be something. Just the whole 4-hour thing for me.
I think that's a fair assessment of things. And so we move to Star Performer. It's a difficult one, this, actually.
It is.
Orange Cassidy for me.
I mean, I think that's probably a good shout.
Freshly squeezed main eventer Orange Cassidy.
John?
I'm going to go with Sting just because he's one of those wrestlers I heard a lot about but never really watched, and it's great to see him in front of a crowd do his thing.
Oh, I like that.
Do you know what? Like, having spoken to you guys about it, I feel like I need to just fly the flag for Pac as well.
Yeah.
The amazing match he put on.
Yeah, he was my close second. I thought he was brilliant.
And so there we go. OC, Pac, and Sting are star performers. We go now to the overall rank. Double or Nothing 2021. Just as a... Do you want to know what 2020 got, or shall we score it first and then come back to that?
No, tell us.
No, because it might sway our scoring on this.
Okay.
Well, guys,
I
was thinking about this earlier. I don't think I should score. Or if I was to score, I don't think my score should count as much as yours. Because, I mean, I don't think I can score it, right? I didn't sit there for 4 hours and watch every match.
That's fine.
So
we'll just say
you two score and do the average from there.
Okay. John?
7.5.
All right. Well, that's nice and easy because I too scored this 7.5.
Right. So that average is, guys?
Let me just work that out. 7.5. Now.
How does it compare? What was last year's? Higher than that, right?
This is interesting. So AEW Double or Nothing 2019, 8.725. AEW Double or Nothing 2020, 8.167. AEW Double or Nothing 2021, 7.5. So,
downward trend.
yeah, losing steam.
Wow. Can you remember the main event of Double or Nothing 2019?
It was the Dustin and Cody Bloodfest.
There you go.
That was a good match. Quick question, guys. Do we reckon the triple threat at Double or Nothing was better than the Raw triple threat at Backlash?
No. Just because I'm much more invested in that. Although, am I?
This is going to almost give away my answer, but who was in the
No,
Raw
maybe not,
triple
actually.
threat?
Lashley, Drew, and Braun.
That was more surprising. Like with Pac, Omega,
Yeah, I think
and
I'm with you on that.
OC, you kind of thought this is going to be fucking great. Whereas with the other one, you were like, oh, okay, this is going to be a bit of a mess.
Do you know?
If you had to
Love
go back
them
and
both.
rewatch one, which would it be?
I think it would be this one.
I think it'd be my guy, Braun Strowman,
I think I'd go with the
on the end of a Michinoku driver, doing a cannonball off the ring. Only because I only watched this match last night. So, yeah. I think. But 2019, sorry, the actual main event was Jericho versus Omega.
Oh, really?
And the winner went on to face Adam Page to become the inaugural AEW World Champion.
Oh,
Great knowledge that you've just remembered off the top of your head.
Yes, that's what's happened.
So, with that said, let's have a sting and go to some listener comments.
This match is all over the place.
Kazarian.
Oh, look out!
Reversing on Trent.
Right on the apron. It's not unprotected because there's a mat there. That's all wood's underneath it.
It's wood in the steel ring frame.
So, listener comments. So we only got one today. We asked who was your MVP of the night and why. One comment.
That
That is pathetic.
It's a good comment though, guys. So let's not be too high on the guy.
Okay.
So Alex Sutton's been in touch. He says AEW's young homegrown talent stole the show. Jungle Boy, OC, and Sammy came out looking great. If I have to pick one, I'll pick Sammy. He did look amazing.
A great shout.
Yeah. Oh, that was worth it. One comment from Alex Sugden is worth
Thank you,
1,000
Alex.
comments to me.
You're so much better than other listeners.
Yeah.
And if you could submit a top 10 wrestlers, that would be very welcome.
Yes, everybody listening, I know I said you were pathetic just moments ago. Please submit your top 10 wrestlers, male, female, in one list, preferably your favourites, okay? Not the best, your favourites. So even if you absolutely love watching who's completely dog shit in the ring.
Titus O'Neil.
Braun Strowman.
Oh my God. Then include them, okay? And we will
That's
not
amazing.
judge.
Well, thank you very much. And if they want to get in touch with us, John, how do they do that?
So they can email us at hardestpartpod@gmail.com. Hardestpart, yeah. Or they can get us on the socials at hardestpartpod.
Yeah, I mean, the email is hardestpartthering@gmail.com, guys, but bring back Brett. Who would have thought I'd be saying that?
Well,
Bring
also,
back Brett to
Adam,
do how to get in touch. Yes.
If someone wants to buy us a virtual coffee, how do they do that?
Oh, shit. Should have mentioned this at the start of the pod because loads of people will have switched off by now, but the hardcore won't, and they're more likely to actually do this. We're going to start begging now. No, not really. Over the years, we've had a few people get in touch, including a couple very recently, who have said, oh, it's a shame you don't have the shop going because I'd love to be able to support you guys in some way. And so we decided that we would set up a Ko-fi account, which if people don't know, I think it's supposed to actually sound like coffee. That's the whole point. If you potentially, it's like if you saw the four of us in a coffee shop and you're like, hey guys, I like your pod, let me buy you a coffee. That would be kind of weird. But this is like a digital version of that. So if you go to ko-fi.com, so it's ko-fi.com/HPOTR, then you can virtually buy us a coffee. So that means you can sort of give us a little donation. It feels weird saying donation. We're not a charity. But give us a little donation of anything. It could be £1, could be £2, could be £5,000. Either of those options is fine with us. So ko-fi.com/HPOTR, ko-fi.com. I really want people to get that right. But yeah, no pressure.
What's everyone's coffee order?
Ooh, we should guess each other's. Sam's Black Americano with 8 sugars.
You were actually really close. It's Black Americano, no sugar.
Oh, I'm the same as Sam. I'm a Black Americano guy as well.
That's cheap for whoever's buying, but also just dull.
I'm sorry.
But I suppose in a way,
what's your coffee order?
That's the true essence of coffee, isn't it? You're literally just having coffee. Mine is usually a flat white with 1 sugar, mostly an oat milk flat white. Now.
I find that too milky. It makes me feel a bit queasy. That's why I like the non-milk versions.
I don't mind it. It depends on what the weather's like.
Might get a frappuccino if it's hot.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of cold brew, actually.
No.
Wow, if they hadn't switched off before, they definitely have now.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that, Adam. Really appreciate it. And that is the end of the podcast. Episode 149 in the bank. Done. That's where we put our episodes when we're finished with them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us, Adam.
Thank you. I thought you were trialling a new ending then. You weren't going to say the bit that we've always done in every episode. I was worried. But thank you for having me, and what a pleasure it was not to host.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys.
Bringing the A game as always. My name is Sam. Thank you, Sam. You're welcome.
See, it's awkward at the end, isn't it?
It's difficult, but the episode's in the bank, and that's what's important, and that was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
On the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring.
Hello, and welcome to episode 149 of Hardest Part of the Ring. Oh no, I screwed up in the first sentence. Start again.